I'd like to call the Mentor City Council regular meeting of June 4th, 2019 to order. The invocation will be given by Councilman Landig.
Let's pray. Heavenly Father, we thank Thee for this day. Help us to use good judgment for the business at hand and guide us in wisdom and a continuing sense of truth and fairness for the community we represent.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Julie, call the roll.
Mr. Landig?
Here.
Mr. Marne?
Here.
Mr. Blake?
Here.
Mr. Donovan?
Here.
Mrs. Dowling? Here. Mr. Kirchner?
Here.
Mr. Krieger?
Here. We have approval of the minutes for the work session of May 7th, 2019.
So moved.
Second. Julie, call the roll.
Mr. Landig?
Here.
Mr. Marne?
Yes.
Mr. Blake?
Yes.
Mr. Donovan?
Yes.
Mrs. Dowling?
Yes.
Mr. Kirchner?
Yes.
Mr. Krieger?
Yes. The regular meeting of May 7th, 2019.
So moved.
Second. Julie, call the roll.
Mr. Landig?
Yes.
Mr. Marne?
Yes.
Mr. Blake?
Yes.
Mr. Donovan?
Yes.
Mrs. Dowling?
Yes.
Mr. Kirchner?
Yes.
Mr. Krieger?
Yes. And the special meeting for May 29th, 2019.
So moved.
Second. Julie, call the roll.
Mr. Landig?
Yes.
Mr. Marne?
Yes.
Mr. Blake?
Yes.
Mr. Donovan?
Yes.
Mrs. Dowling?
Yes.
Mr. Kirchner?
Yes.
Mr. Krieger?
Abstain. Public hearings, we have none. Table legislation, none. New legislation, ordinance number 19-0-034.
An ordinance amending Part 1, Title 5, Chapter Section 151.13 of the Codified Ordinances of the City of Mentor, 2006, as amended, the same related to employment policies, compensation for employees and officials, and authorizing the city manager to increase compensation for non-bargaining unit personnel pursuant to Section 151.16 and declaring an emergency.
Mr. Filipiak.
Thank you, Mr. President. And as this relates to administration employees, we are asking council to authorize an increase up to an average of 2.5%. That is consistent with all of the existing collective bargaining units. And I'm happy to answer any questions.
Move to suspend.
Second. Julie, call the roll.
Mr. Landig?
Yes.
Mr. Marne?
Yes.
Mr. Blake?
Yes.
Mr. Donovan?
Yes.
Mrs. Dowling?
Yes.
Mr. Kirchner?
Yes.
Mr. Krieger?
Yes.
Move to approve.
Second. Julie, call the roll.
Mr. Landig?
Yes.
Mr. Marne?
Yes.
Mr. Blake?
Yes.
Mr. Donovan?
Yes.
Mrs. Dowling?
Yes.
Mr. Kirchner?
Yes.
Mr. Krieger?
Yes. Ordinance number 19-0-034 has passed. Ordinance number 19-0-035.
An ordinance to authorize transfers of funds and revisions to appropriations and declaring an emergency.
Mr. Filipiak.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. Malinowski, please.
Thank you, Mr. Filipiak. Members of council, this ordinance recommends two items. Firstly, a permanent cash transfer in the amount of $5,192.52 from the city's general fund to close out a grant. And then 4 increases in appropriations, 1 decrease to the current year ordinance for appropriations that were not in the original early in the year passed ordinance. I recommend approval. Thank you.
Thank you.
Move to suspend.
Second. Julie, call the roll.
Mr. Landig?
Yes.
Mr. Marne?
Yes.
Mr. Blake?
Yes.
Mr. Donovan?
Yes.
Mrs. Dowling?
Yes.
Mr. Kirchner?
Yes.
Mr. Krieger?
Yes.
Move to approve.
Second. Julie, call the roll.
Mr. Landig?
Yes.
Mr. Marne?
Yes.
Mr. Blake?
Yes.
Mr. Donovan?
Yes.
Mrs. Dowling?
Yes.
Mr. Kirchner?
Yes.
Mr. Krieger?
Yes. Ordinance number 19-0-035 has been approved. Ordinance number 19-0-036.
An ordinance authorizing the city manager to award a bid contract to Davis Diggers, Inc. for the Maple Street Storm Sewer Improvement Project and declaring an emergency.
Mr. Filipiak.
Thank you, Mr. President. It's in this, we're happy to move forward with this project. Additional improvements that we think will make a difference on stormwater management on Maple Street. Mr. Swigger, please.
Thank you, Mr. Filipiak. The Maple Street Storm Sewer Improvement Project is located on the northern end of Maple Street between the Norfolk Southern Railroad tracks and Merkle Avenue. Project will replace approximately 500 feet of deteriorated and undersized 15 and 8-inch storm sewer with 24-inch pipe on the east side of the road. Inlet basins on both sides of the road will be constructed as part of the project to improve right-of-way drainage. Once the storm sewer has been installed, the roadway surface between Merkle Avenue and the railroad tracks will be resurfaced with asphalt to help establish a crown on the road. This will help keep the drainage from the east side of the road crossing over to the west side in extreme rain events, which has done so in the past. An inlet basin at the intersection of RG Drive and in the southwest corner of Maple Street will also be installed to drain a long-time standing water problem at that location. Bids were received and opened on Friday, May 10th. A total of 6 bids were open. Bids range from a low bid of $143,000 approximately to a high bid of approximately $218,000 as compared to the opinion of probable construction cost of $200,000. The low bidder for this improvement is Davis Diggers Incorporated of Mentor, Ohio. Their bid has been reviewed and found to be in conformance with all contract requirements. Davis Diggers Incorporated is experienced and qualified to perform the work within the contract. It's therefore recommended that a contract be awarded to Davis Diggers Incorporated in the amount of $143,450.95 for the construction of these improvements, and the project completion date is specified for November 1st of 2019. Thank you.
Council?
Move to suspend?
Second. Julie, call the roll.
Mr. Landig?
Yes.
Mr. Marne?
Yes.
Mr. Blake?
Yes.
Mr. Donovan?
Thank you for your hard work on that, Dave. Yes.
Mrs. Dowling? Yes. Mr. Kirchner?
Yes.
Mr. Krieger?
Yes.
Move to approve?
Second. Julie, call the roll.
Mr. Landig?
Yes.
Mr. Marne?
Yes.
Mr. Blake?
Yes.
Mr. Donovan?
Yes.
Mrs. Dowling? Yes. Mr. Kirchner?
Yes.
Mr. Krieger?
Yes. Ordinance number 19-0-036 has passed. Second reading, we have none. Third reading, ordinance number 19-0-022. Would you like to address that, Mr. Zeman?
Yes, Council. Council President.
I'm sorry, what? Oh, I'm sorry, okay.
I was just going to go with it. That's fine.
Okay, go ahead.
An ordinance approving the final subdivision plat of 21 residential lots in the Becker's Landing subdivision and declaring an emergency.
Okay, now, Mr. Zeman.
Yes, Council. Recommend that you table it for action potentially at your June 18th meeting. And the reason is the representative of the applicant, due to family medical issue, wasn't able to attend tonight. I've been in contact with him, I'll get it out, throughout the course of the day today. It's been a long week. Maybe I think it's the glasses that are interfering with my mouth. So I do recommend that it be tabled, and hopefully it'll be ripe for action at your next meeting.
Okay, thank you. Council?
Mr. President, I'll move to table.
I'll second. Julie, call the roll.
Mr. Landig?
Yes.
Mr. Marne?
Yes.
Mr. Blake?
Yes.
Mr. Donovan?
Yes.
Mrs. Dowling? Yes. Mr. Kirchner?
Yes.
Mr. Krieger?
Yes. Ordinance number 19-0-022 has been tabled. Now, our favorite part of the evening, manager's report.
Thank you, members of council. We do have 4 open pavement cut permit requests, which I'll present to council individually. The first is from Dominion Energy to install gas service at 8815 Mentor Avenue.
Move to approve?
Second. Julie, call the roll.
Discussion.
Oh, Mr. Landig?
Yeah. A question for the city manager. I saw and I appreciate that the city engineer's office approached East Ohio Gas about using an existing connection. And I saw their response, Dave, was that you can't go other than 90 degrees from, or from the meter location straight back.
I mean, that's been their policy. They've been doing that for many years. In fact, they won't know exactly where the connection will be until the meter's set, and they will go perpendicular to the building, 90 degrees to the main. And it's basically so that the service lateral can be easily found in the field if there's a leak to get it shut off. So it's just an extra safety measure.
I see. Thank you.
Julie?
Mr. Landig?
Yes.
Mr. Marne?
Yes.
Mr. Blake?
Yes.
Mr. Donovan?
Yes.
Mrs. Dowling? Yes. Mr. Kirchner?
Yes.
Mr. Krieger?
Yes.
Thank you, council. The second one is actually at the same location. It's not from Aqua, Ohio. It's actually from R.A. Smith Construction, and it's for the installation of water service at that same location, 8815 Mentor Avenue.
Council?
Move to approve?
Second. Julie, call the roll.
Mr. Landig?
Yes.
Mr. Marne?
Yes.
Mr. Blake?
Yes.
Mr. Donovan?
Yes.
Mrs. Dowling?
Yes.
Mr. Kirchner?
Yes.
Mr. Krieger?
Yes.
Thank you, Council. I would point out, too, just for the record, because I know that, and we actually appreciate the feedback from council on this. We've asked our engineers to be a little bit more, to scrutinize a little bit more each one of these requests now to see if there is, in fact, some other way to do this other than an open cut. I mean, I think we've always been a stickler for that when it comes to pavement that we have on a resurfaced roadway or those that are recently constructed or improved, but I think we're just giving it more scrutiny on it in each instance at this point. So we'll continue to do that. And this batch that you have before you, in most cases, these utilities are directly under the pavement. So this next one is for a request from Mako, Ohio at 7355 Maple Street for the installation of water service.
Move to approve.
Second. Julie, call the roll.
Mr. Landig?
Yes.
Mr. Marne?
Yes.
Mr. Blake?
Yes.
Mr. Donovan?
Yes.
Mrs. Dowling?
Yes.
Mr. Kirchner?
Yes.
Mr. Krieger?
Yes.
Thank you, Council. And then finally, a request from Snavely Excavating for installation of water service at 8585 Mentor Avenue.
Move to approve.
Second. Julie, call the roll.
Mr. Landig?
Yes.
Mr. Marne?
Yes.
Mr. Blake?
Yes.
Mr. Donovan? Mrs. Dowling?
Yes.
Mr. Kirchner?
Yes.
Mr. Krieger?
Yes.
Thank you, Council. Moving forward, just want to, on behalf of all of our city employees, we want to thank Council for the adoption of Ordinance 34. Certainly do appreciate your willingness to acknowledge the good work that they do. Also want to acknowledge our new police chief, Chief Gunch, Ken Gunch, who was sworn in just last week. I know he's anxious to provide highest possible level of service to council and the community, so he's doing well so far. Also want to thank all those businesses who joined us last night at the Harley-Davidson dealer here in town for our business appreciation reception. Had a great turnout, and we've gotten a lot of fantastic feedback today about how well the event went. So thank you, all of council, for attending that as well. The Lake County Solid Waste District will hold a drop-off program for household hazardous waste this Saturday, June 8th, from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. at the Lake County Fairgrounds. For a complete description of what items will be accepted, please visit the Solid Waste District's website under Special Collections or contact our Public Works Department at 440-974-5781. The Center Street construction project, Carbo Paving, is proceeding with that. And the first phase of the milling was completed last night. I had a chance to drive through there when it was going on. Pretty good traffic control, and it's definitely the right way to go during the evening. And that will all work out there. Will continue through the evening. You'll see activity out there each night this week, weather permitting, and that Friday night we should have the final course placed down there. Throughout the course of the project, as you've seen already yesterday, there'll be temporary striping placed out there for safety. Also, to help identify community development priorities and to satisfy our requirement to do an analysis of impediments to fair housing, the city will be hosting a public meeting on June 6th, from 6 p.m. to 7 p.m. That's Thursday evening, right here in the City Council chambers. The purpose of that is to help the city identify community priorities, affordable housing needs, and other factors that shape equal access to housing. So that's a requirement of our CDBG program. And residents can also, if they're unable to attend, they can also answer a survey that we have on our website. It's listed, I believe, on the front page, and it's under a SurveyMonkey moniker. So we'll be accepting that for longer than past the 6th, I think at least the rest of this week. So we encourage residents to participate if they have some thoughts on fair housing needs in our community. And then finally, we want to acknowledge 2 new businesses in our city, Lisa Marie Designs at 7327 Center Street, and Maki Hibachi and Sushi at 9582 Diamond Center Drive. And we thank them for their investment, and hopefully I didn't botch their name too terribly. We wish them great success. That's all.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
One last
okay.
thing. The most important thing. Tonight is the opening of our Men of Rock series at 7 p.m. And Dirty Deeds, a AC/DC tribute band, is starting out, and we'll be serving up fantastic entertainment every Tuesday through August this year. So please come join us.
Very good, very good. Look forward to it. Okay, clerk's correspondence.
Council is in receipt of the Mentor Municipal Court month-end report for April 2019, and also a liquor permit request for a new permit for Pari Mentor 1 LLC DBA Indian Kitchen. That's all.
Thank you very much. Commission and committee reports. Council is in receipt of the meeting minutes for the Board of Building and Zoning Appeals for April 9th, 2019. The Municipal Planning Commission for April 18th, 2019. Charter Review Subcommittee, April 22nd, 2019. And the Charter Review Committee, April 25th, 2019, May 2nd, 2019, and May 16th, 2019. Old business, we have none. New business, I'm going to allow our law director to make a comment on this. Mr. Zeman?
Yes, thank you, Mr. President, members of council. This is an issue that's been floating around for a little bit, maybe the better part of a year, and specifically, an owner of permanent parcel, I won't say the whole permanent parcel, but it's coming up on the overhead by Mr. Swigger. It's a little less than a quarter-acre gross. It's currently next to Tiffenbach Park, and so there was discussions relative to the owner donating that parcel to the city, obviously for the potential expansion of the area for Tiffenbach Park. A little bit of a hang-up, though. There currently is still a mortgage of record on the property, as well as an older lien. It does appear that there are no tax liens and that real property taxes are current. So if it's in council's judgment that there's a public purpose for this parcel, my recommendation is that you, by motion, accept the donation. However, with the one qualification that the city only take title to it if it can get good marketable title, in this instance meaning that there are no mortgages, liens of record, tax arrears, and ultimately we were able to get a title commitment and title insurance, making sure that we do have good marketable title moving forward. If those things happen, then we can finalize administratively and via the law department acceptance of the parcel. If for whatever reason those things cannot happen, then I think we'd have to report back to the council relative to this donation not being able to actually occur.
So Julie's clear on this. The motion you'd like to make for council to vote on?
To accept the donation, subject to title commitment, showing that there are no outstanding mortgages, liens, including tax arrears on the parcel, and that we're able to obtain a title insurance for good marketable title to the property.
So moved.
Second. Julie, call the roll.
Mr. Landig?
Yes.
Mr. Marne?
Yes.
Mr. Blake?
Yes.
Mr. Donovan?
Yes.
Mrs. Dowling?
Yes.
Mr. Kirchner?
Yes.
Mr. Krieger?
Yes. Okay, persons before council, we have none. I'm looking around here.
Move to adjourn.
Second.
You don't have to look around anymore.